Hey everybody, this is Kodak here, and so the last time I made a video, I featured the starter box for Warhammer Kill Team. And since my big project currently has 15,000 words in the script and more than 30 hours of video footage to comb through, I needed something to put on the channel in the intervening time, so let's take a look at Kill Team. Kill Team is a stripped-down version of Warhammer 40k that focuses on tight engagements between squads of infantry. As I have said before, Warhammer is a notoriously expensive game to get into. Now, unlike with card games, this isn't due to any sort of randomness or piece valuation. You can buy whatever unit you want whenever you want, but those actual components are priced really high, to the point that a standard 2,000 point army can easily run you over $800, and that's before things like painting or rulebooks or terrain or any of that jazz. Thankfully, that's not the only way to play Warhammer 40k. Half that point number and you can play a Crusade campaign. Half again and you have a combat patrol. And Kill Team? One box. So Kill Team is Games Workshop finally catching up with a popular style of miniatures game that uses what is called alternating activation. In a normal game of Warhammer, one player takes a turn to move their entire army, advancing, shooting, and charging before the other player takes their turn. Alternating activation is where one player activates just one unit, plays through that unit's actions, and then play switches to the other player, alternating until both players run out of units to activate, then it moves on to the next round. It's a system that keeps both players engaged and doesn't give advantage to whatever player goes first or second or whatever. So, like I said, Kill Team doesn't require an army, but just one or two basic infantry squads, with armies as small as 4 or as large as 16, with the smaller armies having more powerful units and the ability to overwatch. The fact that you can build a working kill team with the contents of a single box is what makes this the budget option for Warhammer 40k. If you're gonna buy your first box, be sure to double check that it can be used to form a kill team, which, if you bought the Recruit Edition starter set, you can. The Assault Intercessors can be made into a Space Marines kill team, though sadly the same cannot be said for the Necrons due to how Necron warriors are used. The cheapest squad by far was the Assault Intercessor 5-packs included in Imperium Magazine issues 13 and 16 for only $14. Sadly, that ship has sailed a long time ago, but I did send up a flare on my Twitter back when those issues came out, maybe something to look into. After that, you can get an 11-man Orc Boy squad for just under $40, and from there most are about $60, including the Kill Team specific squads themselves. It's generally advised that if you like an army found in the $100 starter set, which contains 2 full tournament-ready squads, to just go ahead and buy the starter set and sell whichever army you don't like, as you can often recoup the difference between the starter and the squad box and still leave you with all the rules, tokens, and terrain needed to play. Though, ironically, this wasn't the first version of Kill Team. This version's only been around about a year. The original Kill Team used the units as they were found in the original Warhammer 40k, simply at smaller scale, which unfortunately made it easy for a player to cascade into the lead with a couple of lucky dice rolls. In this new version, individual units have much greater stamina and give off much more of a presence on the battlefield. The goal of the development of Kill Team is simplicity. To show what I mean, here's the rulebook for Warhammer 40k, and here's the one for Kill Team. Now, Kill Team has its own complexities, but its central focus is still on simplicity. For example, it gets rid of a lot of rules from the base game, such as morale checks, charge rolls, assault rolls, the psyker phase, and this little bugbear known as unit coherency.
And there was much rejoicing.
To play a game of Kill Team, both players must first agree on what mission they will play. Each mission has its own win condition players can use to accumulate victory points, usually by taking control of a point on the map. Each player also gets a secret mission they will try to complete for additional victory points. After this, the terrain gets set up, the units get placed, and players each plunk down 2 rapid deployment barriers. The game takes place over the course of 4 turning points, or complete cycles of all players activating all of their units. Not a lot of time to try to wipe out your opposition, so sticking to mission objectives is key here. So, on your turn in Kill Team, you activate one unit and give them either an engage order or a conceal order. Engage orders see them with their guns out ready to fire, while a conceal order sees them doing a commando roll behind cover. So if a unit with a conceal order is pressed against a piece of terrain, they're actually crouched down behind it no matter what their model actually suggests. Of course, a unit with a conceal order cannot take any shooting actions, which gives us our trade-off. Each unit can take a number of actions equal to their action point limit, or APL stat, and cannot take the same action more than once per turn. Movement is done differently from normal Warhammer. Rather than moving in inches, they move in wedges. For instance, my orc boy Tommy can move 3 white circle wedges, one after the other. These wedges are measured using this set of plastic gauges which have different sides corresponding to a different colored shape. These wedges come in the starter set, but considering that they use easy imperial measurements, you can just make your own. I've even seen people cut out super wedges which incorporate all 4 measurements onto a single piece. There are also command rolls, which you can spend to tweak rolls or activate special effects, and it's thankfully a lot more streamlined than in regular 40k. Each army gets like maybe 3 or 4 things they can use their command points for. For a shooting action, you determine a clear line of sight. That can be an engaging unit in light cover, or a concealed unit where you have full line of sight to the target, or are right in their business next to their covering wall. Like with Warhammer, you roll all of your attack dice to hit the target, with each success being a hit, and then the opponent makes a saving throw to see if their armor protects them. And yeah, this skips the roll to wound step from regular Warhammer. This is because the wound roll is to acknowledge that different weapons have different effectiveness on different targets. For example, a pistol is unlikely to inflict any meaningful damage to a tank, but a tank shell will likely vaporize that annoying pistol haver. In Kill Team, every unit is infantry, so the wound roll is basically superfluous. Another thing Kill Team incorporates is exploding 6s. Any 6 that gets rolled is considered a critical hit. Critical hits not only inflict additional damage, they are more difficult for the enemy to deflect. Each unit has a number of defense dice they roll in response to being shot, this being the save roll I mentioned earlier. They check to make their save value to deflect normal hits, but a crit can only be deflected by another crit or 2 successful saves. It's the power of this exploding 6 that helps wear down tough units like Custodes. Melee combat is its own beast. In Warhammer, normally melee involves one player charging in and inflicting their hits, then the other side gets to retaliate. In Kill Team, it plays out more like those Dragon Ball fights, you know, the one where they're all... So when a melee attack is declared, both players roll their melee attack dice at the same time, retaining their successes or critical successes. Starting with the attacker, players take turns spending one of their attack dice. Let's say my orc boy runs up to clobber a Necron flayed one. We both roll. The orc boy gets a hit and a crit, and the flayed one gets a hit and 2 crits. Now, normally I'd worry, but I have both the initiative and enough damage between my 2 rolls to clobber this hunk of junk with only 1 turn from him to worry about. Not wasting any time, my orc boy is going to spend his crit die to inflict a critical hit onto the flayed one. Now it's the flayed one's turn. The orc boy is calm, as the flayed one only has 1 turn to fight before the second hit takes him out. But the flayed one has other ideas. He is going to parry. To parry, you spend your die to, rather than attacking, instead remove one of your opponent's remaining die. Now, you can only block a critical hit with a critical hit, but the orc has only a normal hit left, so the flayed one spends his normal hit to parry, discarding that die. Now it's the orc's turn and... uh-oh, he doesn't have any attack dice left. But the flayed one still does, and 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you! Yeah, there's a surprising amount of nuance to melee combat, from the undeniable advantage of being the attacker to carefully pacing out your hits. Everything feels real personal, which I think is exactly what Kill Team is going for. So that's Kill Team. It's been out for about a year and it seems to be pretty popular. It's cheap, free even if you already have a playable squad out of your collection, its play footprint is small, and its playtime is super quick. I hope it sticks around for a while, because while it might not have the wow factor of a table full of minis, I think its more efficient style will entice more players. Granted, the Kill Team specific boxes tend to offer more variety than the generic units, but they have been trying to get sets for as many factions as possible, and others, such as the Harlequins, have gotten a complete makeover in White Dwarf. Another quick aside, the pocket rulebooks. These have been wildly popular for every game in which they get released because they are so small and space efficient. Think there's a chance that after the big hardcover's been out for like a year that maybe the pocketbook could be sold on its own? Just a thought. Also, a Kill Team starter based on Space Hulk with Terminator veterans versus Gene Stealer sleeper agents with the first mission's map printed on the reverse of the playmat might be kinda cool. So that's Kill Team. Put simply, it's Games Workshop's own Warhammer but cheaper. See you next time!
The thing about war is, just because one wars, it does not mean they are fully Tokodachi. 'Cause there's people in the world who war without knowing the meaning. So if you do know the meaning of the war, you are Tokodachi. But to war without purpose, I don't know. Maybe they're undercover.